So here we are in our demo truck, right, with the unfoldable mezzanine and the machine, and we are running parts for customer variety, some 60,000 aluminum, some probably 80 or 100,000 aluminum, a part that you would like to have later grain, some spring steel that has some burr, and a little bit of brass. To start out with, we are going to set up the machine for the thicker material. So we set this to about 2.8, 2.7 millimeter. Our brushes are pretty aggressive, right around 48, 47, 7, somewhere there in that range. And then all we do is we turn the head on and we turn the conveyor on. Head, we go full speed even though we have small parts. I cleaned up the belt pretty much because I ran a very dirty job before. And for the aluminum, we are going to go about 3 to 4 feet a minute. So first we take this larger part. It has some dross on this side. You can see it here, very small. And put this part on here. And at the same time, let me speed that up a little bit. And at the same time, we are going to run these smaller parts here as well, all the same thickness. So, I'm being cameraman and operator at the same time. This is the burr side, and this is the burr side. This hardly has any burr at all. So here you can already see very nice edge, a little bit of the surface grain. So we're going to give you a better surface grain afterwards. Interesting, we have live beams in our demo room. So not sure what this is about. So anyway, here you can see the white lines on the part, and that is your edge routing. The parts hold very good, of course, because I cleaned the conveyor belt. With aluminum, you have to do that, and with small parts, you have to do that. And then we're just going to go to the other side. Same thing. Again, our speed is about 3.5 feet a minute, so 42 inches, 42 inches. And that gives us an aluminum already good result. Waiting for those parts to come out. It is very noisy here because I have the compressor running. It's the only machine that I have left for this year for my demo, so I don't want to always switch back between the truck and the car. So here you saw we had a little bit of a part shift, so that's okay. The edges are still all nice and round, so those parts are complete. So the next thing that we are going to do, whoops, I forgot to run this. We check it against the thickness here. It's the same thickness, so we can run this part and the brass that we have at the same time. It's going to be very simple. Brass, like aluminum, is very soft, and therefore you can run higher speeds and you don't need a lot of pressure. I'm going to lay these parts in this orientation so that they are nice and open on the hook. There we go. And these we need to open up a little bit on the material thickness because the part didn't want to go underneath the pressure roll by itself. Coming out, I'm going to do my lid. There the edges. You can see the white line, and that is your edge rounding. And also, you can see the engraving, and that engraving, if anything, is enhanced when you do edge rounding. So, and then how we do is we flip those parts from the finished side to the non-finished side. This is the test conveyor belt that we have, where you don't need to take the table out. I don't like it at all because you have way more wear and tear on that table, on that conveyor. So that is something that NS has had us test. My vote is clearly against it. So here we go in, you can see the edge before, slightly sharp, and then as it comes out, you can see that light line, which is the radius. So these are all finished here. Now I'm going to move on to this one because it may require. So we're going to take this part, by the way, and we are going to do a grade finish on one side. You can decide which one, probably this one. We're going to make the finish this way, and then we're going to run it through the edge rounder one more time, so this way, so that the brushes are parallel to the grade, and we get nice edge rounding. Also, these parts on the non-engraved side, we're going to give that a nice grain, so you can see this, and also some of the aluminum parts. So now we're going to go to the thinner aluminum. This is about, I would say, 60,000, maybe 80. No, that's more like 60. So for that, we're going to adjust the brushes up a little bit. And it's difficult to do this one-handed. We're going to adjust the brushes up a little bit so that we are not so hard in the conveyor belt. So let's say we go to 48.3. And here we are going to go to 1.5. And I can hear that we are in the belt slightly, but that's okay. Not going to do too much. We're going to put the 3 small ones here, and we're going to go, sorry, I moved my camera, and then we're going to put these, all the same thickness on the belt over here. As much as in the thicker part, so that's perfectly normal and to be expected. If you want more radius in the thinner part, you simply would have to go a little bit slower. So now we flip those, and we go again here. Small parts, it always helps to go a little bit more single file behind each other, because then they will hold better. There we go. Like I say, we can take it maybe down to 36 inches. It's just a hair on the dial. It's about 1 foot per minute more than the number showed on the potentiometer. All parts are there. Those are the small ones. And you can see the radius from this side as well. And here comes the bigger part. Very simple, easy to do. So, and the whole key for these parts was that we do not have any snag, as there is some fabric is passing through. So, okay, so this is it, and then we have this. If you look closely, this has a little bit of dross on the edges, and we need to see whether this machine will remove it. That's about 0.62. Because this is a larger part, I'm going to give it a little bit more pressure here, which means it's going to be harder in the conveyor belt. And I'm going to slow it down here to about 2 feet a minute to see if we can remove that drop. I can hear the brushes work, but still it is really an edge rounding machine, and sometimes, and this is a very hard material, and with edge rounding machines sometimes you get round dross but not no dross. But actually this doesn't look bad because I can see a white line all around the part. So this is the second pass. So we went perpendicular to the direction. I think I backed and I turned my camera off. You can see the process in the part. And the question is, did we remove that one piece of dross? But it is, as far as I can see, it is still, we have a little bit here, and we have a little bit here. So some of that stubborn dross, and you may want to remove by hand after you know the process. And just for the edge rounding itself, we're just going to do the other side also. With the edge rounding, and we will move on to the white belt sander. So here on the white belt sander, just so that everybody knows what that looks like, this is a white belt sander. This one is just 60 inches long, 43 inches wide, 1100 millimeters wide, with a manual adjustment for the belt thickness. We will simply run these 5 parts, 2 of the brass parts from that side, the aluminum part, that is probably some sort of a panel or control front. Then you have this very thin stainless steel with this intricate contour here, which you will not get any edge rounding on the cross belt, but at least you can remove the dross that you see here on the surface from the heat input into the part. And then the Leprechaun, which, as I said, we will grain parallel to its feet. Okay, so that will be the direction that this is going in. On a machine like this, you need to be far more precise with the thickness. So we are going to take the thickness of all these materials with the calipers, set the thickness on the dial, then turn the grinding belt on, set the speed for the conveyor, probably faster, somewhere around 15 to 25 feet per minute for a nice and straight grain, and turn our conveyor on. And the thickness adjustment is also on this very same joystick. This is a machine from Italy, the Gcam G11 ECR. Very basic machine, but
it serves the purpose of graining and dross removal if that's what you need to do. Of course, because it is a belt sander, it leaves you with a sharp edge. So we start with this panel, which is about 3.1 millimeters thick. So we set the machine to that. Again, with a joystick, all we do is we hit the start button. And the first part is just for test, so that we can see how it comes out. We start the conveyor belt, start the grinding belt, and we start the conveyor belt. And now the trick is to let the part through nice and straight, so that you get a good straight line grain. Never stand behind the machine when you unload. And we are looking at this, and that really didn't touch. So we need to set, we have a little bit here. So what we need to do in this case, I'm going to turn this off. And we need to set the belt overall lower, which means we need to bring this one up. No, sorry, we need to bring this one down. Quite a bit. So, and we're going to lock it up here, and we give this another try. Here we go. We already have a grain, but we could use a little bit more. What we do in this phase is rinse it a little bit. Just now we're just going a couple of steps tighter. And then this should be set. Here, now we have material. We see it on the conveyor belt. We have some heat in the part. And we have a very, very nice grain. Of course, we still have some radius on the edges from the edge rounding, but not a lot. And this is why we're going to take this one more time through the edge rounder afterwards, but we'll go parallel to the grain. Now the same thing with this thing. This is 2.5 millimeters. We're going to go slightly below. I'm going to go 2.4, 2.3. And again, we said we would go parallel through the piece. Again, you see material, that's always a good sign. And we have a nice grain on this decal. Now it gets a little tricky. So here, these are very small. We need to be really careful that we don't bounce in the machine. I'm going to go over the longest feature. I'm going to go like this, kind of parallel to this edge. Okay, but before we do that, again, we need to check the material thickness this time a little bit up. I'm going to try the 3.1, see how that goes. Stand behind the machine because it could be throwing it, but it held fine. It shifted it a little bit, and you see it makes a different surface. The edges are still round. I'm going to keep that like this, and I'm going to take the second one and run that afterwards again through the edge rounding machine, parallel to the grain. Now, this one is really tricky because this is only 0.6 millimeter or about 24 thousandths. So we need to be careful that we don't go into the belt. There we are. I don't hear it yet. I'm going to give this a first try. It may not be enough. We may have to go just a tad lower in order to get the grain off. But no, we ran pretty good, and you can see all the dark spots are gone. The material is still pretty cool, which means it ran light. That's what we want. We don't want grain on those parts, we just want to remove that rock. And that is exactly what happened here. So now we can run it through, again, on the demo truck, through the edge mount. So with this, in order to turn it off, you hit the stop button, you don't hit an emergency stop, so that the belt idles out. And of course, that also then turns off the conveyor belt, because you don't have control. So we are back in the truck with our 4 parts. We are going to turn the machine back on. Very simple procedure. We are going to start again with about a grinding pressure very light, 48.2, something like that. Because now all we need to do is we need to go over the grain a little bit. And we're going to go to the material thickness, about 2.5 to 3 millimeter. I'm going to set it for the thicker one first. We're going to start the conveyor belt full speed, and we're going to go a little bit faster here, about 3.5 feet a minute. And we start the conveyor belt. And let's start with the small part. You can see the direction of the grain, and we are going to go nice and parallel to that grain direction. And that gave you an impression how deep the groove is, and now as it will come out, you will see it significantly refined. Very, very, very nice surface. Hard to see in the light there, but that is probably related. And that will anodize very, very nicely. And we're going to do the same thing with this, same material thickness, but we are going parallel and like this. But because it is aluminum, we're going to go a little bit faster. We're going to go about 5 feet a minute, 6 feet a minute. Of this grain. I think you will really like this for anodizing. That should be perfect. Next is this thingy here. So before in the white belt machine you went parallel to the feet. In order to be parallel with the belt to the feet, we need to put it on exactly sideways. But we also want to reduce our thickness a little bit. This is about 2.5 millimeter. And we're actually going to back up the belt another 3/10. Great edge quality, great surface quality. So, and last but not least, we have this thing here. Like I say, we didn't run that before. We're going to do that now. The thing here is, so this is stainless steel. We are going to first back up the belt, get it out of the way. Then we are going to set this down to 0.6 right there, right?
That's not super critical.
And then we're going to bring the belt down until we can hear it on the conveyor. Right there. This is where it's starting to touch the conveyor. This is how we run. Nice and parallel again.
But we don't go way down because we don't really have a lot of pressure on it.
We are barely touching the surface. We'll look at the temperature, what it looks like.
If it isn't enough, we're going to do a second pass where we go a little bit harder into the belt, maybe by another 20,000, half a millimeter. Yeah, this didn't do very much.
It did a little bit something, but I think we can get this better. We're going to do this one more time. But we're going to go a half a millimeter deeper. 47/8. Conveyor belt is a consumable on a machine like this. If you run small and thin material, can be as much as $3 per hour in terms of consumable cost, operating cost. There we are.
I think you will like the surface. You will also like how those parts come out.
Very clean now. Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to do the other side for you as well. The grain is going this way, so I'm going to run it this way also. This concludes our business for today. The hard stop for the machine. This concludes our business for today, and we will return those parts tomorrow. Thank you very much for sending them. Appreciate it. Have a good day.